Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Stitch Mania, the talk show. So you may be noticing that the role of Katie is being played by Michelle this month.
Hey, everybody.
Katie had to take a slight break, so this month and possibly next month, at least we will have Michelle helping me out, and I am so grateful, because otherwise it would just be Stitch Me the talk show with Garrett and like a hand puppet.
It would just be, well, it would be your floss tube again,
It would
right?
be.
We would
It
get
would be. It
two
would be.
episodes.
It would be. So she's gonna be helping us out. I do apologize for the delay in the giveaway. But Michelle, I think, reached out to the person who won.
I did. I touched base. It was Karen Hoff, Hoff, and she already knows. She's emailed me, and I've
Oh,
emailed
good.
her, and so this is all going in the mail tomorrow or Friday this
Things
week.
do happen. Honestly, Friday's probably gonna be a nice slow day for the post office because everyone's gonna be shopping. So
Right.
you might almost be better to do it
I
Friday.
think so. I mean, I think Friday's going to be a little slower day for me.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. Karen's okay. I let her know that it would be by next week that it would be in the
Good.
mail. So,
Good.
yeah.
Good. Good. So
But
we
thank
definitely.
you.
Yes.
So many
Thank
good
you.
entries.
Yes, thank you for all the entries. Thank you for all your patience. Thank you to our Patreon subscribers.
Yes.
Katie, we were blown away by the number of people who wanted to support us. I do apologize because those of you who follow me on FlossTube know, those of you who may not know, my father passed away literally on the 30th, and then I had an abscessed tooth, and then it's been a very dramatic November for
It's been
me.
a 2020 of a week for you,
Yeah,
like a 2020 of a 2 weeks.
yeah, so it's been sort of insane. So this is going to be our only video this month, because I have the editing skills of a drunk 4-year-old, and graciously said they would give me a hand. This is going to be our only video this month, because we also only have like 6 days left of the month.
This month is almost over.
It is. This has just been a chaotic. So this is gonna be the only one. We probably won't. I don't know if I'll be able to manage for those that donated $10 to do a live Zoom between now and the end of the month. So I will do 2 next month to make up for it, and I do truly apologize for it. Life. I really am sorry. I have been beating myself up. Michelle can vouch for me
No, yeah,
on that.
no, he has, and please, y'all in the comments, can you help me talk him down? Because it's okay, right? Like, patrons are amazing, wonderful, beautiful people, and they'll happily take 2 Zooms next month, guaranteed.
Yes.
Guaranteed.
Yes, so we will definitely do. It may just be me in the Zoom. It may be me and Katie. It may be me and Michelle. I may rope her into it and be like, oh God.
I might be easily roped into that.
So we will see, and I will definitely we will definitely figure it out. So the title of this episode is not actually going to be in our title card because I got the title card in advance from Liz before we titled the episode. So this episode is going to be all about being an ally and a positive force of change in the stitching community. Do you want to go jump on in here, Michelle?
Yeah, no, I love it. So I think we can all agree, like, and hopefully nothing I say is like super controversial for Garrett, because I think you got this handled, this controversy thing. But we are a very white community, right? I think we can agree we're very white, we are very cis, we are very female. Like, so anything that we can do to add more representation, and especially those of us that have voices, we got to use our voices. We've got to use our voices. So I think, because you guys highlighted already hashtag representation matters, Sal, and hashtag diversity and inclusion, Sal. And I think that's a huge, like, that's an amazing way to start. And I'm not sure, because we didn't exactly hash out how we were going to say this, but I think I love your manifesto. If you wanted to talk about that's what I call it.
My manifesto.
Garrett's new manifesto, stitching manifesto. I love it. If you wanted to.
So if those of you who follow me on Instagram, I did this through my stories and actually got a really great feedback on fonts at the same time. Because, which like I said, I'm trying to do everything I can to practice what I preach. But I did it through Instagram, and I talked about it a little bit in one of my videos as well. But one of my goals is not only to find ways to make sure that we've got diversity in terms of just skin color, but also in terms of cultures and holidays, and educating myself about it at the same time.
Right.
So we've got, and I know Michelle's got a great list of BIPOC, which stands for Black, Indigenous, People of Color, or is it persons of color? Or is it interchangeable?
I think either interchangeable. I mean,
Okay.
someone let us know if you guys know, but I vacillate. Persons of color, people of color.
Ooh, you used my word from last time. Vacillate. Yes.
It was a good SAT word. I have to like slip it in.
Thank you. Yeah. And one of the ways I've been doing it, which some of you have seen, some of you have not, and some of you actually are going to get to see this sort of live and in action here, hopefully before my philosophy video this week. One of them was, for me, taking the Fairy Tale Favorites by Shannon Christine Designs and replacing the vast majority of them. So it's 75%. Yeah, it's 9 out of the 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2, yeah.
No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 7 out of the 12. I don't know what percentage that is. I don't math.
A little over than half. Little over half.
More than half. The vast majority of them were converted to women of color, because they're fairy tale princesses, and that's one area especially where diversity is definitely needed.
Right.
So versus having a pattern of 12 white women in fancy dresses, I have a lovely mix. And it was both a fun challenge in figuring out, with only 2, when you're limited to 2 colors of floss, how you can try and convey different nationalities, as well as find ways to make the backstitch work. That was an interesting challenge. So it was an interesting challenge for me in that regard. It was also nice, but at the same token, I'm still able to promote the diversity and the inclusion that we're really looking for in the community. And one of the things I said was that going forward, unless I'm stitching someone who's a physical, actual, like living, breathing human, or if it's supposed to be like, oh, I'm doing this chart and this is supposed to be me and my husband, then I'm going to convert them to people of color. Because while you do have designers like the Frosted Pumpkin who are very good at doing ethnically diverse people, there's still a lot out there that aren't.
Yeah, it's true. And I think there's a few different ways to like highlight the diversity and inclusion and the BIPOC and the representation. I think one of my favorite ways is to buy charts that are charted by BIPOC individuals, right? So like number one, obviously, like that's where our money should be going. Or I mean, and I don't think, because we're not just talking about skin color, like you said, we're talking about like ethnicity, religion. So like Marissa, right? Kissa, she just came out with that.
It's a
spin me right round. I love it.
Yes, I actually bought it because I was like, I just had to.
It's so good. It's so good.
I was gonna see if I can pull it up to show, because if we were gonna be fancier, I would actually try to drop this in somehow, but I don't have that capability. But nope, that's not it. No, apparently I have a pattern that's actually named Mkissa that's
nice.
Not even remotely that.
Well, she has a few, so.
No, this was like a Russian design of Winnie the Pooh, and apparently that's the translation. But yes, that's a whole lot of glare. That is a whole lot of glare.
Up it, like face top down? Maybe like top down? No,
it's not going to happen. But it's really cute. It says you spin it right round, and it's got 2 dreidels.
And there's DMC étoile.
Yes.
Like, it's great.
It is. And she has a history of the dreidel included in the chart, which is fantastic, because I mean, I was raised very Southern Baptist, not quite to the extreme of, say, Sheldon Cooper's mother, but
close,
but kind of close. So I mean, beyond, I know the dreidel is Jewish, and that's about that, and the holiday armadillo episode of Friends. That's the extent of my knowledge.
And so I think, like, because Marissa's doing us all a favor, right? Because she's educating us, and what I love too is that she is Jewish, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's the same. Arlene Cohen works by ABC. She put out last year. She put out a beautiful chart of a menorah,
Mm-hmm.
and she did. I should have grabbed a picture, but I'm not organized like you. Like each candle is done with specialty stitches, and it's really beautiful. So I
Mm-hmm.
love that we're because I would like to. I was talking with some friends about designing like a Hildy's Hanukkah,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then I felt like a little bit disingenuous because I'm not Jewish. I'm not anything. Right now I'm for the longest time I have been straight atheist, but I was raised heathen. We're nothing, right? Um, so it felt a little disingenuous for me to put out a pattern, Hildy's Hanukkah, and profit off of it, you know, when I could just be sending my money to Marissa with her. I'm going to buy You Spin Me Right Round.
Mm-hmm.
I'm because it's so good.
It is. It is.
But yeah, like to send our money there to
Mm-hmm.
support the designers who are designing along their own cultural and heritage lines, I think is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they do that, and then you have the next step, because I don't know the pumpkins well enough to know if either one of them are Jewish.
I don't believe, but I don't know for sure myself either.
But even though, like even if they're not, I would stitch the heck out of their Hanukkah patterns.
Oh yeah,
they have
they
the
are.
cutest.
Yes, no, they're super, and like and like with their Chinese zodiac, one of the things that blew me away, like I already liked them. They were already cool. And then they released the Chinese zodiac, and in their sneak peek, they had the dragon that was a very Western, like British medieval Camelot style dragon.
Right.
And people are like, wait a minute. And so not only did they stop and redesign it, they reached out to their local Asian Cultural Center to get good research on it to find out what they needed to do to correct it. And then their model stitcher very quickly, after they redesigned it, very quickly restitched it so that they would have it ready for their model in time for the release.
See, I didn't know that. I feel like that's epic, because I feel like, as a bland vanilla girl, like we're gonna make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Period. We're gonna make mistakes. So the question is not, to me, the question is not like, how many mistakes have you made? But like, how have you stopped, learned, and corrected course?
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like normalizing messing up and doing better, like that's how we make progress, right?
Exactly.
So like, I love that the pumpkins did that.
I know.
Oh my God.
I know.
That's awesome.
So I'm super, and I think that's terrific, and that's the way we want to see the community going.
Yes.
So it's nice to see when designers do that, and it's nice to see that we are beginning to see more. I've noticed specifically Hanukkah patterns are starting to show up. Satsuma Street has their gorgeous menorah.
Oh yes.
That one's just beautiful. We're starting to see more Hanukkah. We're starting, Witchy Stitcher has a whole line of the pagan sabbats.
Yes, which are gorgeous.
They are.
Isn't the primitive hair? I feel like the primitive hair has...
She's got some...
Hers might be freebies too. Like she has the whole wheel.
Yeah, I think she does. And then... and I'm going to have to pull up the pattern for this because I'm going to mispronounce the hell out of it if I don't have this in front of me. Ingleside Imaginarian has the Jewel Booking, or Yule Goat.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Pattern, which is super cute.
Brittany's brilliant.
She is. And she's got the familiars chart. So we are beginning to see some, and I would love to see, one of the things I asked about was what other traditions can we look at?
Right.
And there's the Hindu Festival of Lights Diwali, which I think I hope I'm pronouncing correctly.
I mean, I think Diwali?
I think so, maybe.
Yeah.
I should look that up. If I'm wrong, please correct me, and please understand that I don't do it on purpose.
Right.
But that's also part of the journey, is learning, is I'm going to make mistakes, and I need to know when I've made them.
Yeah.
But don't assume that I know.
Right. No, that's we've kind of lived that way for the last like decade, because when Wade and I moved to Hawaii, right? We're just a couple Hollies moving out to Hawaii, and we were pronouncing things so wrong, so wrong, and people let us do it for like almost a whole year. And then one of my girlfriends from work, she was like, "Can I just like you're just like so close, but you're not quite there. And I was like, oh my God, please, please tell the Halle girl how to pronounce this stuff.
Uh-huh.
So then after that, like, you know, it's not Honolulu, it's Honolulu, right? And it's not Kapiolani, it's Kapiolani. So like it's close, but like you just have to have somebody just say it for you.
Yeah.
And
And
I'll change. Just please
yeah.
help me.
Oh yeah. And so that's one of my big personal goals for next year, and to stitch more of these designs that are from other cultures, and you know, to diversify myself and grow as a human being.
Right.
And we, like I said, I know you've got a good list of designers, if you want to rattle them off to us, of who all's out there.
So I have a little bit of trouble actually finding, like, because I never want to ask somebody like, oh, you're a designer, like, are you Black? Like, I don't want to, I feel like that's an inappropriate question, right? But there's a few Instagrammers that I follow, and one person that I just found who is amazing. Her name is Miasia, and her Instagram is stitching. She's at stitching _in_color. And she's Black, and she's amazing. And this piece that she's working on right now is actually a she took a self-portrait with a really cool filter on, and someone charted it for her.
The yellow, right?
Yeah, the yellow, and she's stitching it. And she's just like, she's like celebrating herself, and she's celebrating her culture, and I'm just like, I am like here for every second of this journey.
And she's super sweet too, because I've chatted with her a little.
She's so sweet, and she finished some stuff with pom-poms, and I freaked out over her pom-poms, and she just let me freak out and didn't judge me. So like, she's really, really sweet and understanding. And but yeah, I say check out Miasia, because she's cool. She's
cool. And Stitches of Heritage, and I think it's Stitches _of_heritage. She's doing is it Hands Across the Sea is it Hats that did the Mary Pells?
Yes.
No, it's Queenstown.
No. Yeah, Queenstown. And I think they're going to start that as a SAL.
Yes, and I need to get a copy of it for myself, because I'm going to join too. But they're doing a SAL as a reproduction of a pattern by a girl who attended an all-Black school in like the 1800s.
I think so. And the two of them together are working on this big, huge project to find and document and then share with the rest of us samplers stitched by women of color. So there's a few more on Deb's Instagram. One of them I'm looking at, it's Rosina Disery, Disery, sampler 1820. She was a student at the New York African Free School, and her sampler is beautiful. Like, it's so funky with the, you know, I love a funky sampler, and it's so funky with the flowers. And but the two of them are working together, Deb and Miasia, to compile all of these samplers, so that I mean, I hope they write a book, but I'm just, I don't want to put it on them like that, but I hope they write a book.
I believe they're also working on a pattern or series of patterns based on the Underground Railroad quilts.
Oh.
And what the different symbols mean, which I think is so cool.
Oh, yeah, totally. I'm looking at Deb's post. She's looking at she charted the Underground Railroad quilts were code, right? And so she charted, the first one is monkey wrench. And the meaning of the code was for the slaves to get ready and gather the tools they might need on the journey to freedom. That's okay. Sign me up. I mean, I'm not hard, but like, I'm easy, but I'm in.
So it's, you know, and I think they're doing some really awesome stuff. And I think that's a great way for us as stitchers to find ways of celebrating cultures that aren't our own and learning about them, because as much as I do love the tradition, you know, the Mirabilias and the Joan Elliots, it's time to not do white women in diaphanous dresses anymore.
Right. I mean, yeah, I agree. And so I think like the first step is to stitch things by BIPOC designers. The second step is to stitch things that are designed as women of color, right? Because like converting is fine. But there's great, like, so I have two on my list. I'm going to ask you soon, so you're going to be on the spot in a second. One of them on my 2021 list is this beauty. She is called Natural Beauty 3. She's from Philanthrope Embroidery. I haven't started her yet. She's charted in Aurifil flosses.
Oh, is that the one? And the fabric is really interesting too.
This is the fabric. Like
Uh-huh.
it's not stitched background. Like it's like wood.
Mm-hmm.
So I debated long and hard, like, oh, I can convert it to DMC. I can do this. I can do that. But like, whatever. I'm just gonna spring for the Aurifil flosses. Like, I just right.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's worth it. And then another one is a designer on Etsy. She's called Sengi Stitch. Her name's Rachel. I actually met her at a retreat last year, and I cannot wait to stitch this one. It's her blueberry lady.
Oh yes,
She's
NBC
fan-
is doing that, and it's beautiful.
oh, she's fantastic. But I just like celebrate. I feel like, she's charted already with the natural hair, and like we're not trying to make someone who's charted as white into someone who's a person of color. Like she's already charted like that
Mm-hmm.
in all her glory.
And I am looking for, because I've got blueberry, not handy for me to go grab it, but I've got blueberry. But the other one that's on my list for next year, and I can't remember the name of it, but I know I've got the pattern, is the one that Brittany of Ingleside Imaginarium did as a donation for Black Lives Matter.
A woman named Ella.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh, she's amazing. I have that one too. She's big.
She's
Like
big. And
she's
actually, I think I kind of want to do the unfinished one.
I love the unfinished one.
That
It's just
Because she wanted to get it out, so she released it before it was fully stitched.
yeah.
I think I want to do the unfinished version.
I like it because she took it from her friend's sketch, and the
Yes.
unfinished version looks so like not sketchy, but
But
like a drawing.
a watercolor rendering.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's one of mine on my list too. And she
That's a
did
good
that
one.
with her friend who is a person of color. I don't remember specifically, but I know her friend was a person of color. So
Yeah, is. And I think she's a fashion designer,
yes,
right? Because that was a mock-up of a
dress, and
fashion. Okay.
she's planning several more. So those Blueberry and Mary Pels, and then a woman called Ella is
Yes.
they're on my list.
Oh man, that's a good. This one, I did this one. Dimensions kit. I just framed it. It's not done yet. But this is a dimensions kit called Going to Market. I think it's out of print, but like you could still find it on eBay. But I just love them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can't with them. This little guy is so cute.
I know. So that's kind of where that's kind of what we're trying to do as best we can to help promote diversity and to be better allies.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a difference between being an ally in the sense of, oh, well, we should be an ally, we should do that, or, oh, here's a donation.
Right.
That's really kind of it.
Right. I gave some money and now I feel better.
Yes. And then actually getting out, doing, and challenging yourself. And it's hard. I know personally, like I said, I asked for all these suggestions for holidays that I needed to look at. And I got a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. So I started making lists, and I was like, man, this is gonna be, because I've got a very set routine. It's like, I need to break out of my routine so that I can do this learning, because
make room for it.
That's more important.
Right.
So, it's hard. It's not the hardest thing, but it's a change of mindset. And that for me is a lot of how I feel like I can be a better ally, by changing and educating, and then taking my knowledge and using it to promote and to encourage, and hopefully open up a platform for people to actually express their own cultures. And if the more we do, and there's something you said, of course, you could always reach out to Nora Corbett or Joan Elliott. And I know the way probably they work, they're several years out on the designs that are coming out now, but reaching out to them to say, hey, we'd like to see this, is one thing, but the other thing is doing it kind of encourages more designers to come up and say, oh, well, I saw this, let me try my hand at it.
Right. And I want to give a big shout out, and I don't know the name of the designer, but the designer of Jardin Privé,
Mm-hmm.
um, she was designing a Halloween pattern and it had a witch in it. And her daughter, and I don't know if her daughter, like, I don't know how old anybody is, right? So I don't know if her daughter's 25 or if her daughter's 10. But she was designing a witch for Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And she was picking out skin colors, and she had a green, because witches are green, and then she had a white skin color. And her daughter was like, Mom, all your people and all your designs are always white. Like, why? And she said, oh my gosh, that never once occurred to me.
Mm-hmm.
So she put out a chart of two women, and one's white and one's black, and and it's a free chart for us. It's on her Instagram. And the whole thing behind the chart is, I didn't think, and it wasn't presented to me ever. And in my bubble, this wasn't an issue because
Mm-hmm.
I'm white. And so all the cross stitch looks like me. So I see myself in it. So I'm not worried.
Mm-hmm.
But as she's like, but now that my daughter brought it to my attention, now it's my issue because I'm aware of it. And now I'm doing something about it. And I feel like saying, like you and I have both said on this video, we're correctable. Come at us with the corrections and we will make
Mm-hmm.
changes. To say that is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And to actually make a change when someone suggests it, it's hard, man.
It is.
Because we're human, and the first instinct is like, oh, well, I'm not, defense is the first instinct. And to move through that, and for such an established designer like the Jardin Privé
Mm-hmm.
to be like, oh, look, there's something new I can
I had
learn.
no idea because I don't follow her, so I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
go check that out.
you should, because I was like, it moved me that
Mm-hmm.
and it was her kid just being like, why has everybody got to be white all the time?
And I think that's so terrific that this generation is making those challenges and making those strides.
And that she didn't feel judged.
Yes.
I mean, of course, it's her child, so the relationship's different. But my hope is that, we say, like, we're going to change skin colors. We're going to stitch more originally designed BIPOC. We're going to stitch more BIPOC designers. I don't want anybody to hear that and think, they must be doing something wrong because they're not doing it. Like, I don't think you're not doing something wrong. I think
No.
maybe you just didn't know that there was a problem.
Right. And, to be a little fair and a little honest, this is their job. They're making a living. They have to follow the market demands. And the demand hasn't been there. So by doing this, you increase enough awareness that they go, oh,
right.
There is interest. There is a need. There is a spot.
Yeah.
And that makes it better across the boards.
Mm-hmm. I was also, so I was talking about, because I'm going to start making, well, I mean, I have Hildy and she's green, so like I'm covered there, but like my normal people, I'm going to start not having them be all white, right?
Mm-hmm.
And someone also brought it to my attention, like, could they also not all be super skinny? Because when we stitch cross stitch people, they tend to be very thin. And I mean, it's a bit of the pixel art, but like we can stitch a jolly fat Santa. Like, why can't we stitch a fantastic voluptuous woman or like a wonderful voluptuous man? Like, where are they in cross stitch? So next challenge accepted.
And I look forward to seeing what you come up with.
Oh, I'm picturing, I have so much, like,
nice.
It's in my head. It'll get out eventually. But robust characters.
Mm-hmm. So the something else, and this sort of leads into our Instagram tags. We've kind of sprinkled that one throughout.
Oh yeah.
We've been a little less sectionalized.
I jumped the gun.
It's okay.
It's my fault.
No, you're good. Something else that I learned in just doing both my stories and then watching others. In fact, a really great person to follow, especially when it comes to the issues of ableism, is Carson Tullar. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. And it's Carson _CARSON _Tullar TULLER. I believe we'll have all these down here when we go live. He was Andrew Yang's campaign manager for a little while. And he's paralyzed, I believe, from about the chest down. He's in a he uses a wheelchair. And he's always and he lives in New York, and he's constantly posting about the different ways that to make things, for ability,
More accessible. Yeah.
more accessibility. And one of the things that was where I first learned that you can do and I don't do video stories, but you can set up captions for your video stories. But I believe it was him. There were a couple of people that did this too, that pointed out that on Instagram, really there's only one readable font, which
Yes.
when I did my original post of my manifesto, I was like, oh, I like this. It looks like a letter. I love the way this looks. And that was my entire thought process. And then someone said, it's a really hard to read font. And I went,
but look at you, like,
yes.
Correction.
So
you skipped right over defense and went right to let me fix this.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this.
Yeah.
And that kind of tends to be my default personality anyways. But one of the other things that I learned through someone's stories, it may have been his, it may have been someone else's, is that if you're using voice to text, which you don't always necessarily think about in terms of Instagram because it's such a visual, form of social medium, that if you're using voice to text, it's going to be transcribed. It'll give an audio description of what you're looking at, which is what the alternate text option is for, which I don't utilize, and I really should, but I can't quite seem to figure it out.
I was good for a while. I have an Instagram story on how to make alt text posts, and I was really good for a while, and then I got away from it, and now I will get back to it.
Yeah, it's something I really need to do.
Resolved tonight.
But with the voice to text software, on your hashtags, if you don't capitalize each word, then it comes out as gobbledygook.
Right, because it just tries to make it one word.
Right, it thinks it's, so you get, for lack of a better example, it's like that old song on Sesame Street where Big Bird pronounces the alphabet as Epkidepagilinoff Stewart's.
Yes.
That's not...
That's the perfect analogy.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So something I've started trying to make sure I do is go through, and unfortunately it does mean you have to write out every single caption, every single hashtag, because the default is lowercase letters.
Yeah.
But by capitalizing them, it does enable, I don't know if I have any visually impaired followers, but if I do, they can at least read it and find out what the tag is. And it still works for the same tag. So it's not like you're creating a new tag by capitalizing it. It's still the same tag. Yeah. You've just taken a few seconds longer and you've made it more accessible.
Right. Instagram doesn't recognize a difference, but man, your followers might. Even if one person, and that's what I love is about this whole thing that we're talking about, is I think what this all boils down to is we are trying to create a safe space. A protected space for people. And if people know that, people notice, people who need that notice and people who don't need it are never going to bat an eye. Like, it's not going to bother me if your hashtag is half capitals. It's not going to bother me. I actually prefer that because I think it makes it easier to visually read too.
It does. I was going to say that.
It makes it easier for us sighted people too. But people who need it notice, and they notice you taking that extra second and going that extra mile and making your space accessible and safe for them. And it's, who doesn't feel good to feel seen? And if you can make somebody feel good, you make somebody feel good today, your day is done. Exactly. You did a good day. So yeah, I love that. I'm going to start. That means I have to go through, because I save my caption for Instagram and all of my hashtags are on there because I use about a bajillion of them on every post. I'm gonna have to go through and fix that because they're all lowercase. That's okay. I have a half an hour.
Yeah, and it's nice because it's kind of a one and done.
Yes.
See, I'm not as what's the right phrase? Organized. So I just do it as I go.
Right.
My Ozbook posts were significantly better organized, but my stitching ones.
I think of it as lazy. Like, I am way too lazy to type out a caption every time. So I save it in my notes app and I just copy paste that thing over and over every time. And hopefully people would reach out and be like, I see what you're trying to do. this is how I would take it to the next step if I were you. And I'm open to that. I mean, you know, because I don't know what to do other than to be encouraging and to be supportive and to be outspoken when I see something going wrong or sideways. But we try.
Yeah. You know, and one of the things that I hope no one takes away from this, because I know we are, as you said earlier, we are both very, very white. I mean,
have you seen me?
you can't get, if I were any whiter, I'd be translucent.
Well, I mean, except Han, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, it, you know, we are both white people, and we're not, and I hope that we're not coming off as white people solve racism.
Right. And I don't want to, like, we're not trying to set ourselves up as experts.
No.
Like, this is just what we're trying to do.
This is just, exactly. This is how we're trying to be better allies.
Yeah.
And try to encourage and foster diversity. Because at the end of the day, we do have a certain amount of privilege. A lot of privilege.
Yeah.
And like I said, I hope we don't come off disingenuous in that regard, because we're certainly not.
Please, I hope not.
If we are, please tell us, because again, we want to be better, and that's the best way as well. So,
right.
I guess that's kind of a good.
Yeah, that kind of.
For
kind of bow on it.
So we thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, join Stitch Mania. Please remember with Stitch Mania that we do have 3 questions, and you must answer that you acknowledge our rules. Please remember that. Please tell your friends.
Right, spoiler alert, here's how you answer the questions.
Spoiler alert, yes, we don't care too terrible much about the first 2. You have to answer the second one verbatim.
You can scroll by. You are an adult. You can scroll by.
And we will kick you out in a heartbeat if we're not. We will.
It's the only way to keep it sane. There's so many people in that group. It's the only way.
So please feel free to join us. Obviously, there's not a giveaway this month. We will be back next month. Now, something for everyone to sort of be aware of. We're going to have an attempt for 2 videos, because it's another we're discussing. The plan, just in case something changes, but the plan is that it will be Kristen of Sapphire Mountain Handcraft / Stitching Book Club, discuss the books of this year, hopefully maybe the books of next year. If there's enough to generate 2 videos out of it, we will do 2 videos like we did with Fortnite. But because of what we've got planned, it may be later in the month before it shows up. So it won't be as late as the November one. But don't be alarmed if. But I'm really looking forward to it. I'm hoping Michelle will be back I'm hoping Katie will be back, and Michelle maybe even can come along too. We may.
I mean, I don't want to take Katie's seat, but if she's not back, I'm here.
Michelle, who was an absolute blast to have again.
Thank you.
So she made an excellent Katie stand-in.
Can only try.
So we will see you next time. Again, thank you again to all of our Patreons. Again, I apologize that we only got 1 out this month. It was a month. It's been a decade, quite honestly, this month.
This month has been a decade.
It has been a very long 30 days. So
and you have extenuating circumstances. They get it. We get it.
And so this probably will not be live before Thanksgiving. If you're in America and you celebrate Thanksgiving, I hope you had a lovely Thanksgiving. I hope you had a safe Thanksgiving.
Hope you didn't travel.
And if you don't live in America, I hope you had a lovely week, and that you're having a nice November and a lovely fall.
Or spring if you're in the Southern Hemisphere.
Spring if you're in the Southern Hemisphere.
I always forget about the Aussies, so I had to throw that in.
I know, the Southern Hemisphere, I forget about that. It kind of confuses me that their toilets go the opposite direction, which I know.
Really? I didn't know. I don't know if is that true?
That's a little weird trivia thing that people like to throw out, like, at random points, like in like random, like, here's a fact about the Southern Hemisphere. But that kind of confuses me. Like, I get that it's a polar thing.
Oh my gosh, now I have to go find the science behind it.
I know.
I feel like Bill Nye will be able to help me.
Oh,
I'll
I'm
just go
sure
see if Bill Nye can explain
probably
it.
even done a thing about it. This
I'm
way
sure.
off topic.
If you need me, I'll be watching old episodes of Bill Nye.
Hey, so again, thank you to everyone who subscribed. Thank you to all our Patreons. We haven't found anyone to do our captioning yet. I think the plan, since I found out that it's fairly easy apparently to go in and revise the auto edits from YouTube, that should make it a little easier forever. I won't be making someone do it from scratch.
That takes ages.
Yes. So we need to find someone to do our captioning, and then we'll go back and get them all retro captioned, hopefully before the December one. I'll definitely make some sort of announcement on Instagram and around to let it be known that correct captions are available.
So we can say vacillate all we want.
Yes, vacillate. Not whatever it was that it came up with.
I don't remember, but it wasn't vacillate.
It was not vacillate. It wasn't Vaseline either. So
it wasn't. It was. I don't know what it was.
It was something weird like a vax wait or something like that.
It was vaccinate.
Oh yeah.
It was vaccinate.
But definitely vaccinate too.
Do that too. It's good. Yeah, either way.
I mean, yeah. I don't. I'm glad I never had polio.
Amen.
Mm-hmm. Iron lung doesn't sound like fun.
It's not cool.
No.
Yeah, it's not a look.
Yeah. So.
On that note.
On that note, that very dark and weird
Quick
note.
before it gets real weird.
I think it's a little late for that. We will see you all next time. Bye.